14 people have been killed in Russian airstrikes in Ukraine overnight, 7 of them in Odessa. A 35-year-old woman and a 12-year-old boy were also killed in Kyiv, according to the city's mayor Vitaly Klitschko. Russian drones and missiles pounded cities across the country. Meanwhile, the governor of Russia's southern Krasnodar Krai region said a Ukrainian attack on residential buildings in Tuapse killed 2 children early on Thursday. And for more on this, we can go to our Kyiv correspondent, Emmanuelle Chaze. Good morning, Emmanuelle. Ukraine experienced pretty much devastating Russian airstrikes overnight. Can you tell me more about those?
Indeed, a devastating overnight attack, and this attack, this morning the death toll keeps on rising. Our first responders are still on site. They are searching the rubble for survivors. Here in Kyiv, just to give you an idea of how it was, we first heard the air red alert at around 2:30 a.m. So that means that sometimes you are caught by surprise if you don't hear this first air red alert by explosions. There was a series of explosions, and the alert lasted over 4 hours, and all across the city there were debris falling from intercepted drones. It was also a ballistic missile air red alert, which also means that people have less time to seek shelter as those missiles are cruising at very high speed. And among the victims here in Kyiv, you were mentioning it, there's a 12-year-old child, a 35-year-old woman, and those attacks happen on infrastructure, but also on residential buildings. In the very city center of Kyiv, in the Podil district, there was a high-rise building that has been hit by debris, a 6th-floor building hit by debris. There were fires also in the northern part of the city, and also the authorities say that there was what we call a double tap. When Russia launches a bomb somewhere, a drone, a missile, waits for first responders to come on site, and then launches a second attack so as to cause maximum damage on first responders. And there's been 4 medics injured in such a tactic as of this morning, according to Kyiv authorities, while in the city of Dnipro 2 people were injured. In the city of Odessa 7 people, 2 people in Dnipro were killed, 7 were killed in Odessa. In total, it is over 80 people across Ukraine who have been injured, 14 people killed. We are waiting to know how many of those drones, how many of those missiles were launched against Ukraine, but all that comes just as President Zelensky has warned that for Ukraine it is necessary to receive timely deliveries of air defense equipment so as to be able to defend itself against such Russian air raids across its territory.
And meanwhile, Ukraine is continuing to target Russian infrastructure itself.
Yes, Kyiv targets Russian infrastructure, its petrol infrastructure, so as to strike at the very heart of the Russian economy. There has been reports that an oil refinery, one of the biggest of Russia in Krasnodar, has been hit overnight by Ukrainian drones last night, and the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian Army, Alexander Syrskyi, had just reported that as of last month, Ukraine had managed to strike around the 70 critical infrastructure for Russia. That means oil terminals, ports, Russian ports, such as some strikes we saw happening in Russia's Baltic Sea ports. That also means warehouses where drones are being stored, kamikaze drones are being manufactured, are being stored. And this can happen in occupied territory, legally occupied territory here in Ukraine, but also quite far off Ukraine's borders also. And this is what Ukraine also relies on so as to try and decrease Russia's power to strike it by really hitting into the core of its economy.
Thank you very much for that, Emmanuelle Chaze.